morning and welcome to the full review of the Asics Novablast. It's so bouncy, so bouncy. Roll the beauty shots. Always coffee first, then let's go straight into the specs. This one has a 37 to 27 millimeter stack height. That's a lot of foam. It's a 10 millimeter drop. It's a 300 gram daily trainer, and it's filled up with the Flight Foam Blast from Asics. It's relatively very much neutral, and it's also a little bit, maybe a little bit large for its size. It's perfect fitting for me in a 10.5, and I'm usually 10.5 or 11. So take that the way you want it. I would not go for US 11 in this shoe. When it comes to this shoe, there's two negatives and one really big positive. And the positive is the feel. I'm getting to that, but first let's talk about the fit. When it comes to the fit, I was not that impressed when I tried it on for the first time. It came out of the box super wide, so it's like I had to really tighten it down, and then when I did that, it still didn't hug my foot the way I wanted it to. So let's start off with the front part. The toe box is really nice, breathable. It's the best part of the shoe by far fit wise. It's really nice. It gives a lot of space, and then it sort of gets a little bit worse from there. The midfoot doesn't really follow your foot in the way that I want it to. It doesn't feel like it's hugging. It just feels like it's there a little bit too much, a little bit, yeah, not the right way. And the laces are really static. So there's not any stretch in them at all, and they're digging into your foot. The midfoot, in my case, doesn't really enclose around the foot in the right way, and that makes it really hard to get a proper lockdown around the heel as well, because I can't get the foot pushed further back, and still I've done like the runner's knot and all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't work. It just feels like the runner's knot is like choking my ankle, and it's not sticking. On the other hand, I really enjoy the amount of padding that's here in the heel. The heel actually feels really nice to have on. It just moves around a lot, and that's kind of annoying. I tried to change the laces to some laces that I had from the old Triumph 17, and it worked better, but it didn't solve the problem of locking the heel down. And then there's the upper, which is the jacquard mesh, or the Jaguar mesh that I said last time. It's really stiff and bulky, and yeah, it's not really comfortable. It's also very static as well. I thought that would help with the stability. It's not. It's breathable, it just feels bulky, and it doesn't really hug the foot because it's too static, and it's too, yeah, it just doesn't fit me. So if I went to a store and tried this shoe on, I'm not sure I would actually buy it because the upper isn't fitting me at all. It's like they took an upper from a lesser model and put it on a top model midsole. So overall, I'm not a super fan of the upper. It's true to size, it's breathable, it's nice roomy in the forefoot, and if it creates a really nice heel lockdown for you, then maybe it will work for you, but for me, it's a thumbs down. But I'm a fan of how it feels to run in. So this shoe is fun. It's soft, it's bouncy, but sometimes a little bit maybe too soft and too bouncy, because it actually gets too soft and too bouncy when you run on gravel, for instance. So there's a really big difference in what you want to use this shoe for, and a big difference between the first 20K and the rest. And that's because this kind of foam is significantly more bouncy in the beginning, and then it kind of mellows a little bit out. It's still bouncy, but it kind of settles, and it ends up being like a little bit more of a normal foam. This one doesn't end up being a normal foam, it just ends up less bouncy than in the beginning. And in the beginning, I wasted it going on gravel. and I was super slow. Like my first run, I've never run that slow. I had really big issues with like keeping the pace, and that kind of dissipated after a while. So I ran a lot on asphalt, and I tried again on gravel, and it started to work on me, and I started to figure it out a little bit better. And once I actually got it loose, it started really working. And I actually ran faster in this than in the Ride 13 on a gravel track. That's really good because I really love the Ride 13, and it's a faster shoe for a daily trainer. Maybe not as fast as the Rider Neo, and this one, it's a little bit faster again. And that's on gravel. This one on tarmac, a hard surface, is faster again. The problem with me is that 80% of my runs are on gravel roads because I run along the river because it's so much nicer than running in traffic with stopping lights and all that kind of stuff. I love running along the river, and this shoe is nice, but it's the relative effort you put into it is so much higher than the effort when running on asphalt. And that's kind of annoying because then every time you run in this shoe, it feels like you're almost pushing through when you're on gravel. And that's kind of the story that I found last year with the fuel cell, with the speed. It's kind of not working as well on gravel, and it's demoralizing. And then when 80% of my runs are there, it's really hard to actually want to use it because relatively it's still fast, but it feels less fast. And when you take away the carbon plate and just end up with a super soft and, spoiler alert, very unstable shoe, then it actually feels even worse. This, in my opinion, is a tarmac shoe. It's for those hard surfaces. So let's stop focusing on gravel and just talk about that. I think it's fast because of the bouncy foam, the instability that just doesn't slow you down, and maybe a little bit this ball here that sort of helps with the transition like a rocker in the forefoot. Now if you look on the outsole, you'll see there's a lot of rubber actually, but there's not a lot of pattern. And that kind of makes sense if you think about it as an asphalt shoe again. It's not working perfectly when it's wet and when it's gravel and muddy and that kind of stuff. It's made for those asphalt roads where you don't need a lot of grip. So if you want to get the most out of this shoe, buy it and use it on tarmac. That's the best way because it's really brilliant there. Just make sure you have enough stability because that's the big thing. It is not very stable. It is really the most unstable shoe I've ever run in, period. It's especially because of the heel, which is super soft, like really soft, so it like goes down like crazy, and especially my right foot really collapses. And then you move forward and you think, okay, maybe it's a little bit more like stable here, but that ball underneath the forefoot also makes it unstable. So even though the forefoot is a lot more stable than the heel, it's super unstable all over. Now I've done some comparisons with the Ride 13, and that shoe feels like a stability shoe compared to the Novablast. If you need a little bit of stability and you want a more neutral runner, it's not a good thing to get this one. I would much rather go for a Rider 13, an 880, a 1080, a Rider Neo. There's so many options out there, and this one will be too unstable. And that's why I'm not using it for longer runs, because the longer runs actually hurt my ankle. And I haven't had any issues with my right ankle for like 2 years. And now over 10 kilometers, and it really hurts. And you can see why, because it's super unstable on my right foot. So when you look at the stability, that makes it impossible for me to use on the longer runs. And that means the versatility of this shoe sort of makes it obsolete because it's not versatile at all. So overall, the upper underwhelms greatly. It has a nice airy front, but apart from that, no heel lockdown for me at all. The midsole is fantastic but really, really unstable. And that makes this shoe less versatile, more obsolete in my opinion. I understand why they're not calling this the Nimbus and it's not the top model, because it's not top model material yet. It's a development shoe that's made to figure out how to make the Nimbus and the top models better. And I think it has the potential to actually improve the Asics lineup a lot, really a lot in the years to come. They just need to make this foam more versatile, more stable, but still keep the funness of it. Because then Asics will be back and there's no more gel and I will love it. Now, what would I change to make this shoe better? Firstly, I would change the entire upper and the laces. The laces need to be more stretchy. The upper needs to be more like a sock-like construction. And I actually enjoy the back here. I just want a better heel lockdown. So they should probably work a little bit more on the midfoot here. The midsole itself is really, really nice. I would just want to make it a little bit more stable to make it more accessible and more versatile for more people to use. So maybe a nylon plate, like with the Endorphin Speed. I think that would be really, really nice actually. That would work, and the bounciness of the foam would make this shoe so fun. Now that's it for this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you're into these kind of running related videos, consider subscribing. Have a great day, have a fantastic run, and I'll see you next time. Bye.